I'm Richard Hardy and this is Entheos Live, and in this Thought for the Week we're thinking about the question, are you a movement or are you a museum? Enjoy. I brought you to St Fagans, which is the museum, the National Museum of Welsh Life and History. And I brought you here for a very specific purpose, and that's to show you something that's really interesting in terms of the development of church and Christianity in the UK. And the thing that's really interesting about it is that at one time this particular chapel would have been absolutely full of people. Let me show you it. It's only small, and it's been on this particular site since 1904. Now, I'm not showing it to you because it's a historical artifact. I'm showing it to you because at one time this particular church would have been full of life. It would have been absolutely packed with people as they gathered together for Sunday worship. And as you look around the building, which I'll show you in a moment, you'll see that there isn't a square inch of space that isn't taken up with pews, with spaces for people to actually stand and for people to actually listen to the sermon as it was preached Sunday by Sunday. It's echoey, obviously, because it's old and it's empty, but when it was in its heyday, it would have been absolutely full of people looking around, listening and seeing what the preacher had to say. But now, of course, it isn't like that. Now it's sat in a museum, it's empty. This building was taken down brick by brick, and it was brought here to this site in order that it might be a curiosity of a bygone age. It seemed like a perfect setting to bring you to talk to you about this week's Thought for the Week. Because the reality is, whether we like to experience it or understand it or not, is that if we don't do something to maintain the sense of movement in our churches, then this is going to be our destination. We're going to end up as museum pieces. You see, the reality is that the Church of Jesus Christ was never intended to be a monument to the glory of God in the past. It was always intended to be a movement about God in the present, God with us, Emmanuel. Now, the truth is, when we look at our own churches, the places where we actually worship and the places where we actually serve, that so often we find ourselves with a mix. There are those things within the life of our church that speak of movement, speak of dynamics, speak of the leading and the guiding of the Holy Spirit. But there are also those things that speak about a tendency towards museum. Things that have got stuck, things that are getting in the way, things that are preventing us from moving forward in mission. The challenge for us as leaders is being able to recognize the difference between the two. Because so often those things that look like museum can turn out to be areas of movement, and those areas that look like movement can actually become atrophied and can become stuck quite quickly. So the wisdom of leadership, part of our role in the context of the church, is to seek to lead the church forward. And the only way we can do that is if we are being led ourselves by the power of the Holy Spirit, the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but is forever changing things, forever making the gospel relevant in the context in which it's set. So that's the thought for the week. Are you a movement or are you a museum? Where are you on the continuum? And as you assess the different areas of the life of the church, what needs to be done to move them from one to the other?